Hello everybody and welcome into the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series. Back tonight making a stop at a super speedway, the high banks of Talladega Superspeedway, one of the fastest tracks of the season. And a lot of drivers looking to see if they can get themselves their first win here tonight. It's going to be a good one. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You're watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Well, I know it's been a few weeks. Had a lot of things going on, but man, I've certainly missed watching these guys, and it is good to be back here tonight. And let's get the party kicked off with tonight's starting grid. How about Kenneth Redinger for Noma Motorsports? He'll take the pole, puts down a 54.053. Michael Newman will roll off to his outside in second. It's going to be Michael Miller back in third. Bill Hales in the 53 starts to his outside in fourth. And it's going to be another one of those Noma Motorsports drivers, Jay Stinson back in fifth. Jesse Wise in sixth with Jesse Calloway in seventh. David Traylor, boy, he has won a couple over the course of the last few weeks. He starts in eighth with Justin Parham back in ninth. And Charles Van Schaik rounding out your top 10. Moving on back to row number 6, it's going to be Jonathan Dominics. The Canadian driver starts in the inside of row number 6 tonight. And then it's Jonathan Herbert who will be on his outside in 12th. Moving on back to row number 7, it's Evan Schilling in the 18 alongside Haas Beverly in the 22. Lance Thompson, he'll start from the 15th spot with Colton Hardy in 16th. Keith Prince in 17th with Clinton Woodby back in 18th. Mark Beverly in 19th. And it's going to be Matthew Fritz rounding out the top 20. Dylan Paws, he will start back from the 21st position here tonight. Kevin Winker, he rolls off 22nd. Back in row 12, it's going to be Tyler Beverly alongside Rick LePage. And the last car on the field tonight will be Andrew Hansley in the 29. Taking a look at your race info, it's the Muehlberger Custom Homes 225 here tonight. 225 miles going to be the distance. That'll break down to 85 laps. We do have a stage break at lap 20, and that'll be at the start of lap 20, so 19 coming to 20. 95% fuel for these cars. 4 sets of tires, including the one that you start the race with. Then, of course, 1 faster pair of fixed setups as always, and 3 green light checkers just in case you are to need them. In case we need them, I should say. That faster pair, though, is going to be the thing you probably need most here tonight, especially as we get into the later portions of this race. 79 degrees outside, 30% humidity, clear skies, winds at 5 miles an hour. Won't play a factor in the action here tonight, but what might is that track temp, just over 100 degrees, 2.65 miles. The distance that makes up 1 lap here at Talladega Superspeedway, over 30 degrees of banking in the corners. And long straightaways on the front and back allow for a lot of pushing and shoving. And these Xfinity cars, of course, these guys were already at Daytona, but since then, we have seen an update to the way these Xfinity cars drive, the package, if you will. And so it's a little something different here tonight. You got to be a little bit less aggressive with your pushes. And more importantly, you got to make sure that you do not get caught pushing in the corner. Well, we talked about David Traylor the last few weeks, how dominant he's been. But last week it was his teammate, Clinton Woodby, who actually found victory lane and got the job done. Who's it going to be here tonight? We're getting ready to find out. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at Talladega. All right, lap one is in the books. Up front, Michael Newman leads the way on that high side. He's got one of the best in the business when it comes to super speedways. Pushing behind him, that's the 53 of Bill Hales. 69, Jesse Wise, he's got himself up near the front, but look on that outside. Colton Hardy already looking to see if he can start to crawl his way towards the front. Nothing doing yet. David Traylor, that's going to be another driver to watch to see when he tries to jump up to that high side. Will he get locked up with any of his teammates? He'll have an opportunity, but he will not take it. At least not right now. Noma Motorsports, that'll be the other big team to watch for them to try to get linked up at some point. Again, I know it's early. There's no rush right now. But we have seen Noma Motorsports already go to victory lane a few times this season. And we talk about David Traylor's dominance the last couple weeks. But yet, of course, remember back to the start of the season, Daytona winner Joey Hickox. That was, of course, the last super speedway that we were at. And then Joey Hickox went back-to-back with getting the win at Nashville. But the point is, the man on the throne at these giant super speedways is Hickox. We'll see if he can reclaim it here tonight. He's got a little bit of work to do, though, as right now finds himself just kind of watching his teammates. We talk about the season points. Just realized, I was talking about Joey Hickox. It doesn't actually appear Joey's in the field tonight. All the Noma Motorsports cars, of course, very similar schemes. I thought for sure, for a second, it was Joey that I saw on the outside. It is not. That's the 19 of Justin Parham, another one of the Noma Motorsports drivers. So they've got Stinson, they've got Redinger, they've got Fritz. But what they don't have is the man who, like we said, got the job done last time they were at a track like this, which is Joey Hickox. He is not here tonight. So we'll have to see how they can perform without help from that extra teammate. Back up front, 3 wide. Look at this now. They're going to fan out through 1 and 2. That outside has still been the preferred lane, and they are rolling. Michael Newman in the middle. He's going to get cleared by Traylor, maybe Parham as well. And it looks like we're going to have one shoot off here. A little too early, a little bit too much aggression maybe for Charles Van Schaik. He doesn't like what he sees, so he's going to jump back in line just behind, it looks like the 21 right there of Lance Thompson. New scheme for Charles Van Schaik with that number 23 Ford Mustang. And it looks like instead of the SpongeBob, he's got the Turn 4 racing scheme on tonight. Boy, for Michael Newman, man, no help. Can't catch a break early now as he's in the middle. DW like to call it the sucker hole, and that is because you are going all the way to the back if you get trapped there without any help. Looks like the 22, though, of Haas Beverly decided to hop down to get a little push here to this 12 car. We'll see how good it works out. Meanwhile, rolling on the outside, we see Keith Prince in the number 3 car. He's starting to make a charge towards the front of the field. Kevin Winker, he's been on the move since the start of this race. He's up 11 positions from where he started at. Remember, with that stage break being on lap 20, these guys are good to go to that point. There will not be a green flag pit stop, as you saw right there on perfect display. That new package and some of the kinks that I was talking about. Pushing in these cars now is so much more difficult than it used to be. And, of course, we'll hop on some onboards here tonight. But, you know, you can still push on the straight, but you have to be so delicate and so perfectly square. You get it missed just a little bit, it can cause issues. Look at that right there. Haas Beverly gets just a slight shot to the back of Michael Newman, and you can see just how much it makes that car wiggle around. And we'll watch it again here as Haas is going to set him up for another push. And, you know, of course, the trade-off is the more pushing you do, the more progress you make. But that risk versus reward can certainly swing the other way if you get yourself Pushing a guy in a bad spot. Oh, man. Thought for sure Haas was getting ready to hit him right there in the corner. You know, that would not have ended well. And Haas Beverly, I mean, even running just behind the 12. See how squirrely he's got the front noses. Gets Newman again a couple times offset. You're going to have to be really, really careful. It's so easy to get these cars turned around now, headed in the wrong direction. And when they wreck big. So, again, I don't think we'll see any pushing in the corner right now. You see the speeds topping out right around the mid to upper 180s. Those will pick up as, of course, the night goes on. Drivers start to get a little bit more comfortable. But that track temp certainly going to make a lot of runs on that third lane viable, if you will. With, again, just over 100 degrees. Remember, that wears tires out more. And that also makes the engine temps of the pushers get hotter a lot quicker. How about on the high side here? Kevin Winker going to take a shot at it here with Haas Beverly, who was running second in line. And I wonder if he maybe jumped up for one of those issues that we were just speaking on, which is the temps under the hoods of these race cars. Remember, you've got to keep an eye on your water temp and your oil temp. And for anybody who doesn't know what that is, these guys have all different gauges in these cars. We'll try to go a little up front, go to ones that are a little bit easier here. Looking for a Mustang or a Supra. There you go. They've got some main gauges. The big ones to keep an eye on, though, are the oil pressure gauge and the water pressure gauge. Once those start, water pressure, I should say water temp and oil temp, rather. And once those start to get too high and they start to get into the category of where those gauges start blinking red, that's when you have an issue. And if you keep going, you push that engine past the limit, you could blow up. And blowing up here under green it's just a disaster. If you avoid a big wreck, it's going to certainly cost you a lap. So keep an eye on, oh, there we go. Lance Thompson's going to go around. First issue of the night. It's going to collect two of them here as the 21's going to spin back down. Now he's going to collect, looks like Jonathan Dominic's. Caution is out. For the first time here tonight, Dominic's has major front end damage. The hood of that race car stuck inside the cockpit there for a moment. And I think it's still there. You can't see it from the roll bar view, but you could certainly see it looking from the outside in. As it's actually stuck in the back seat of his car right now. Oh my goodness. That's a major issue for the 94. Jonathan Dominic's. Of course, we had a couple more cars. There goes the hood. It'll fly off there as he was working through 3 and 4. I'm not sure if that'll make its way back onto the race car or not. We had a couple of drivers really torn up in this one, though. We already talked about Dominic's, but of course where the wreck started was Lance Thompson. And the 21, he's back in the 23rd spot here, trying to get it back rolling. That wasn't the extent of it. We saw a few more. In fact, I thought it was one of the Noma Motorsports drivers that I saw get some damage, but we'll have to wait till we go back on replay to confirm that. All right, well, talked about hot track temp. I just got done talking about engine temps being an issue. The other problem is tire wear and how loose these cars are here with these hotter track temps. They're already really loose, and I think the best way to describe this Xfinity car is more so darty than it is loose. And let's see if that was the spark of the issue here, or if there was some contact from out back or from one of the sides. So there's the 21 Lance Thompson, third car on the outside line. I guess I should say the middle, running next to Haas Beverly, who's on his outside here. And as they get into the corner, you really got to kind of set the car in, and he starts to wash up. And the problem is when you wash up is you got to yank the wheel back to the left. Car doesn't like that. Starts to get unsettled on him, and it just goes around here, gets down into the 77 of Michael Miller, who had nowhere to go. And then, yeah, sure enough, that is the 2 car of Jay Stinson, who has nowhere to go, just runs right up under the back of him. And then as Thompson goes for that second loop around, that's where he collects Jonathan Dominic's. Looks like Matthew Fritz may have been able to sneak by that without too much damage in the 27 machine. And I don't think Lance got all that much damage himself, but watch this first hit out back. This is really the one that does all the damage for most of these drivers right here. As when he first gets turned around, 77 dives low, does a good job to miss him here. But then we talk about the 2, the 94, and even the 4 there of Jesse Calloway. He had nowhere to go, and for Calloway, it's going to be a ride up into the outside safer barrier. Does a good job holding on to it from there. As long as he doesn't have any suspension damage, he might be okay. Big question is going to be is, does he indeed have any of that suspension damage? Let's go back here, looking at onboard shot for Jay Stinson. This shows you just how quick things happen here, as he had all but no time to react, as he's going to see the 21 get loose. Sees him come down, gets on the brakes, trying to go low, just fortunately can't do it in time. So one of the drivers that takes the blunt to that. And then let's go to an onboard view, in fact, the cockpit view here for Lance Thompson. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. these Xfinity cars, we talk about them being loose, and the only way that you can really keep them stable when you get into these corners where the car likes to unload is you got to set them, right? So you kind of want to hold that angle that you're going to take into the corner while the car loads up onto the banking. Thompson isn't able to do that here because as he's getting into the corner, he gets up the track just a little bit. Watch it again. In full speed right there, starts to get up the track right there, and then has to jerk the wheel back to the left. The back end just starts to get kind of light on him, goes around, and it's on from there. A couple of big shots for some of these drivers who are looking for some stage points, and not sure that they'll have a shot at him here with what's going to be, of course, probably less than 10 laps to go in the stage when we go back green. I'll give you one more angle of this here. Actually, we'll give you two more shots of it, as I wanted to go back, actually, and look at Jonathan Dominics again and the big hit he took, which really destroyed the front end of his race car. I mean, we saw the hood get trapped in his back seat. Watch it again. Dominics as far back as he is. Oh, he actually got ran into by the 92 of Woodby. I didn't see that initially. So you wonder if Woodby maybe got some front end damage as well. And then the 10 car, what a job by Dylan Paz to sneak down low, cut through the grass to miss that one. And then the second hit right here is the kicker for Dominics. Really does most of that damage there. And then watch his hood here. Just kind of falls off, and you see it go actually through the cockpit and just kind of wobbles its way back. That's an odd one. I can't say I've seen something like that before. Watch this from the cockpit view. The hood's going to fly off and just kind of rattles through until it ultimately got trapped in the back of the cockpit there. Let me give you one more angle of this here from the Gopher cam. Back that up just a little bit further to more so when the incident actually took place here. All right, so your first caution of the night is all but wrapped up as we go back up front. Lights are off on the pace car. That means we are getting ready to go back racing at the front of the field. It's the 19 of Justin Parham with Michael Newman to his outside. Row 2, Kenneth Redinger and Keith Prince with Mark Beverly. Excuse me, that's Haas Beverly actually in the 22 machine. Back in row 3 alongside Kevin Winker, Colton Hardy 7th, David Traylor 8th. And you've got Jonathan Herbert back in 9th and Dylan Paz rounding out your top 10. So it's going to officially be 8 laps to go here in the stage when we grab the green flag here. And so I think it's that time where as a driver, got to make a business decision. I know you've got that fast repair, but I know a lot of drivers would much rather have that late in the race. And so knowing that, you got to decide here, how risky are you willing to be for stage points? I think if you're in the top 5, you definitely got to fight for them. If you're in the top 10, maybe you still consider it. But then you start to get back, looking outside the top 10, especially outside the top 15. Maybe just play it safe here. Try to take it easy, conserve your stuff. Don't get involved in a potential wreck here. And then have the track position and a chance at it in the final stage. All right, here we go. Pace car going to make the left turn. By the way, if you're just tuning in, certainly appreciate you being here. Hope that you're having a good Friday evening, Friday night. Again, depending on where you are. And here we go. As the Noma Motorsports driver and the two teammates lined up on the inside, will roll back into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. 12 laps complete here at Talladega, and it's a good restart. This time for both cars on the front row. Question is, where's the organization going to cut to first? Out back, Charles Van Schaik gets turned off. 23 is going to have to lock it down here. He'll come to a halt just before the wall, gets back rolling. Will not draw a caution as it was only one car and he was well off the racing surface. But that's a tough break for Van Schaik. He's going to have to catch the field here. Show you real quickly what happened there. He got turned from behind, I'm assuming here. Lots of runs out back as they're going to hit the restart zone. A little bit of a checkup. Van Schaik sees that. He starts to check up, and then Beverly, Mark Beverly that is, tries to get to the high side. Just can't quite do it in time. Tagged the back of the 23, and so it sent Van Schaik for a slide. Quickly locked it down, though, and that quick thinking kept that car out of the inside wall. All right, back up front. Field now up to full pace as they have completed a lap under green again. And 12 of Michael Newman leading that high side. He's got all the momentum right here. As Keith Prince going to see if he can maybe push this 12 car out in front to drop down. Watch out, though. Up top, here comes the third lane. Looked like Winker was going to try to cover the big run from David Traylor, but wasn't able to do it that time. And now he'll get another shot at it. There goes the 42 of Winker. This is going to cause the middle to fade here as they've only got 2 cars. Keith Prince trying to stick on the back bumper. of Michael Newman for all it's worth, but it's not doing much as the inside's going to roll clear. And now look at Kevin Winker draw even for third up top into 3. Keith Prince in the 3. He's got a little bit more help now from out back. You see the 27 of Matthew Fritz. He has caught this middle line up front, though. The 2 Noma Motorsports drivers still. This is all the positioning they could ask for here with Parham and Redinger. And remember, they used to be teammates on Grandstand Racing as well. And it looks like Newman all but able to get clear. The bottom is now Keith Prince up top. Oh, man, they're getting really squirrely up top. Watch out here as now they're going to bump doors a little bit. Keith Prince down into the right side door of Keith Prince, but he's able to save it as Kevin Winker will let him catch a break here. And it looks like David Traylor must have seen all he needed to right there to the side. Yeah, I think I've had enough. He's going to drop down to the middle here. He wants no more of this third lane, at least not right now. The 97 of Colton Hardy drops in behind him. Colton Hardy, he is carrying an onboard view for us here tonight. We'll get to that here in just a moment. And in fact, actually, let's hop on board here with Colton Hardy, who's kind of in the thick of it right here. And there's the view from the virtual cockpit and then the real-life cockpit. You can see just how steady of a wheel he's got to hold here through the tri-oval. Can't do any pushing right now from where he stands on the inside. I apologize. Go back a few spots here to Colton Hardy. There he is. He's actually in the middle. You saw him actually give a little shot to his teammate right there, David Traylor. For David Traylor here, at 54, is he going to jump up here? We'll see if Hardy gives him a shot to do so. Nothing yet, nothing yet. David Traylor has not jumped up just yet. So it looks like the 54 content to stay on the bottom. So they're single file for about the first 2 to 3 cars, and then it's 3 wide after that. You've got the 19 of Parham still leading the way. On the middle, it's Haas Beverly now trying to poke a nose out in front. He's got a couple more car lengths, though, to go before he's going to get there. And now Michael Newman, who was his lead pusher, is going to jump out to try to become the lead leader. Oh, boy, hold on here. Now they're going to fan 4 wide. Haas Beverly in no man's land here. Nowhere to go. He's going to have to jump in behind the 97. It looks like he'll be able to do that. That is always a hold-your-breath moment. Even here at Talladega, a track that is, of course, wider than Daytona. When they get 4 wide, it just it gets really, really anxious really quick. And Haas Beverly, it looks like the handling of that race car might be starting to go away just a little bit as well. Stage break is only going to be 3 laps away when they cross the line this time, but you got to survive to that point in order to be able to make adjustments. Now Kevin Winker is going to look back to the top. Michael Newman, Keith Prince, they had been sitting there waiting for somebody else to jump out and try to get this draft train rolling, and still have yet to see anybody really dare to push in the corner. And we also haven't seen much of the tandem. These cars, it is doable, not to the extent of what we see in the next gens where you can pull away, but you get 2 or 3 cars tandemmed up in one of these lanes, I can tell you that line is really going to roll. That's kind of what I would watch to see the third lane try to do. I mean, I think that's really the only way they move forward here. With just 3 laps to go on the stage, you got to make something happen here. The 88 of Jonathan Herbert, you see him running third in the inside line. For Jonathan Herbert, still looking for what I believe would be his first stage win of the season. Some of the drivers who really don't need stage wins, but would certainly take them, is some of those Noma Motorsports drivers. Matthew Fritz, though, he would like a stage win here. Kenneth Redinger in the 20, still looking for, I believe, I'm not sure if he grabbed that first win this season yet or not. Again, it's been a couple weeks out. I'm pretty sure he grabbed it. It was sometime back in the early season. I know it was Chicago. Yeah, it was Chicagoland. That's what it was. Where Kenneth Redinger grabbed that first, and I believe only win of the season so far. Looking for win number 2 here tonight, as Hardy now jumps to the outside. And I'm telling you, it's kind of interesting to watch the different drivers that get grouped up and kind of see how much progress a line can make. And I think every time that we've seen Kevin Winker get up here to push somebody, that line has gone forward here. Watch for the 42 to get really, really aggressive here down the backstretch on the back bumper of the 97 of Hardy. Needs a little bit of help from out back, though. Doesn't look like he's going to get it. Redinger's able to lock bumpers with his teammates down the backstretch. David Traylor not quite going to push the 27 all the way towards turn 3. Felt like he didn't need to here. He might be trying to manage temps because he knows we're coming to 2 laps to go, and if he gets trapped there, he wants to make sure that he's got the temps to try to push this 27 car back to the stage victory. And I said we're going to have, I don't know if I accidentally said 2 to go, but it's going to be 1 to go right here when they cross the line. Yeah, this is 18 coming to 19. So next flag will be for the stage. 1 lap to go here in stage number 1. The 97 of Colton Hardy, if he can just get clear, he will make that move, not just to the middle, but probably all the way down to the inside of the racetrack. And good luck. You got 3 Noma Motorsports drivers sitting 1-2 on the inside and first in the middle. final gas here down the backstretch. Who's going to have the momentum? Looks like now it is the 97 of Hardy. Kevin Winker with a massive push down the backstretch. Is it going to be enough? It is, but it's more than enough because it's Kevin Winker who's going to make the move. He was able to leave out Colton Hardy, and now all of a sudden, this is going to make the top and the middle fade a bit. Final time off of turn 4 in stage number 1. Here comes the middle. Can Winker get a side draft on Parham to beat him back to the line? Justin Parham, Kenneth Redinger, now they're tandemed up. Fritz is going to split 3 wide. Middle loses its help, and it will be Justin Parham who takes the stage here at Talladega. Well, how about that for a stage finish? Man, I need some time to catch my breath after that one. For Justin Parham, though, up front and in control was the way to go. As the driver out of Boiling Springs, South Carolina, again, he already has a win on the season, but he'd like to grab one at a super speedway. Big opportunity to do that here tonight, especially knowing that he's got the momentum after grabbing that stage win. And so now we're going to see a full round of pit stops, tires and fuel, and then these drivers will set themselves up to come back out and get a restart with somewhere probably right around 60 laps to go in this race. So we'll go ahead and take a quick break. We'll go side by side, and when we come back, see if we can get an interview with your stage winner, Justin Parham. Stick with us here at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing. 3 by 3. Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
All right, welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Stage 1 is wrapped up, as are the first round of pit stops. So let's see if we can bring in your Stage 1 winner, Justin Parham. Hey, Justin, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you grabbed the Stage 1 win there, and maybe a little bit of a sweat out there towards the end, but overall, how'd the car feel, and how was it working with your teammates?
It feels pretty good. You just got to be a little careful with the bumping. I don't know. It's been like that for a while now. You get a slight bump, and it just wants to chunt the car one way or the other. You just got to be Be careful, be mindful how you bumping people. Kenneth's been doing a good job, and so far we've been rolling pretty good.
Indeed. Well, you know, we know that these cars are a little bit different here in terms of course, how they push. But, you know, I think the question is here tonight. You've already got a win on the season. We're here at a super speedway where the racing in general is different. So how does that kind of change the mindset here? Do you look to try to push a teammate maybe to a victory here? Or do you try to get another one tack onto your total?
I'm just going to go with whichever way presents itself the best. If I'm behind a teammate, I'll push them, or if I'm not with one, I'll do what I can to get it myself. So we'll just see how it unfolds, getting closer to the end.
Sounds like a plan. Well, hey, Justin, we appreciate you talking to us. Still a lot of racing to go, but so far so good. Congrats on the stage win.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. And, I mean, that's pretty much the best way to look at it. I know I asked these questions in ways you might be thinking, well, that's a stupid question, but, I mean, we still get a good answer, right? In the sense of Justin Parham saying what I would kind of hope pretty much every driver in this field says. If I'm lined up behind a teammate, yeah, I'll push. If I'm not, you better believe I'm going for it at the end. And so now with a little bit of a shakeup up front here is the lights are off on the pace car. And it's Jonathan Dominics in the 94 FedEx machine who is being scored as your leader. A little bit of damage still on the back of that car, but the front's pretty cleaned up. So I assume he took the fast repair after that first wreck where he got a lot of damage, and this is from a different incident. So Dominic's maybe still a little bit of damage that he needs to get fixed, but he'll restart as the leader here. Jonathan Herbert on the outside in second. Then it's Kevin Winker and Kenneth Redinger back in row 2 with the 19 of Parham alongside the 18 of Evan Schilling back in row 3. So again, we said it was going to be about 60 laps to go. Looks like it's going to be just a little bit more than that, as it'll be about 65, 66 laps to go when we get the restart right here. Well, actually, I should say, sorry, 61 or 62 laps to go when we get the restart right here. And so that sets us up for one green flag pit stop in this final stage. Again, 95% fuel. That should take you all the way to right about, in these cars, upper 30s in terms of laps, right? I'd say probably somewhere between 35 and 40. I don't think you can quite make it to 40. And so at that point, again, it will be a solid one stop. So there shouldn't be much fuel saving going on here. This will be a battle of track position and where you want to be situated and who you want to be situated with when it's time for that final green flag stop. All right, here we go. Green flag back in the air. The final stage underway here at Talladega. And it's a good restart for the 94 of Jonathan Dominics. Maybe a little bit too good of a restart. You always get a little nervous when you see that lead car get that far out here at these super speedways because you cannot run away from the draft, at least not by yourself. Winker had a big run here. We'll see if he chooses to jump up to try to take the lead. Yes, he will. Kevin Winker going to make the move to the high side. He'll grab a bit of a side draft down the back. And now he's going to get a big push from the 88 of Jonathan Herbert. And how about that for an up and under move? Kevin Winker gets clear. Will he drop down here? Does he stick with the 88? Looks like for now he will stick with that top lane in the 88 of Herbert. Now there's some contact. Jonathan Herbert, maybe a little bit of tunnel vision right there as he started to follow the 42 down the racetrack. That was a really good save by both drivers. Now we see the 19 of Parham duck low. Winker's going to beat him to the punch, throws the block. And now here comes Michael Newman. He had a big run with Colton Hardy. Those two will tandem to the high side of the racetrack. And that's going to get at least one clear of the 88. Now it looks like Newman's going to jump down to the middle. Here comes Bill Hales and David Traylor on the high side. And also in the middle, how about the 77? We saw dodging a few wrecks earlier. Now that's Michael Miller, who's trying to make a run here towards the front. There they go. They're going to wreck him up big time. Oh, my goodness, down the back. Huge hit. Oh, man, this collects a whole bunch. Bill Hales, the 77 who we were just talking about, Michael Miller, Evan Schilling, Michael Newman. Oh, and Dylan Pause is going to get hit at the end of it again. Well, that was a big one here in the early going of the final stage. And that is a really, really tough break for the 10. Dylan Pauls, who was having a good night. And now that car is going to have to go in for some repairs and some service. So here we go. Let's go back and look at this one here. It starts up front, and as a matter of fact, there was some sort of major netcode here, it's looking like, because I see the 97, and it looks like his front bumper and his front hood just explode off of the race car. Let's see if that is indeed what happens here, if it's something different. So Colton Hardy's pushing really aggressive on the outside. Well, once he gets this run, he is. There's a big shot to the back of Michael Newman, and Well, there might have been some net code there, but that wasn't the cause of the wreck. The cause of the wreck here was the push. And so you just heard Justin Parham talking about how easy and careful you got to be with the pushes here. Colton Hardy, he's going to get into the back of Newman here just a little bit too much. A little bit offset left. That sends Newman into the wall. Now, when he hits the wall, that's where all of a sudden it seems like there was a little bit of a net code that translates back to the 97 and the 53. Hardy and Bill Hales both take pretty heavy damage on their respective race cars. But then as this wreck translates down to the bottom, that's where things really start to get ugly, and it starts to collect quite a few more. Watch it here on TV1 is, yeah, the 12 of Michael Newman, nowhere to go as he goes down into traffic, as does Bill Hales. The 20 of Kenneth Redinger, he gets turned around, back up into traffic, but big hits for Evan Schilling, Bill Hales, 10 of Dylan Paws. All going to get significant damage from this wreck that they'll have to go work on here. Let's give you a couple more angles. And I mean, for Colton Hardy, obviously not doing anything wrong there. He's just trying to push, but that's just what we talked about at the tip of the broadcast with these new cars and how delicate the pushes are. It's almost like you have to kind of lock onto the bumper of the guy in front of you and then push, whereas you used to be able to kind of just slam draft a guy to a degree, and then he could just hold on to it. Not certainly the case here tonight. As for Kenneth Redinger, I was trying to see if he hits anything here. Maybe he doesn't. Oh, he does. Oh, man, Haas Beverly, look at that. The 22 goes up and over. I didn't even see that initially. What a ride for Haas Beverly, and then the hood in his face here. He can't see anything. Haas Beverly was just trying to get it back rolling. That's got to be a tough job to do here when you really can't see anything out your windshield. Boy, that was a wild, wild-looking tumble there for Haas Beverly. Let's go back and look at this here from a couple angles. So as Redinger starts to slide back up, Beverly's trying to shoot the gap to the outside. He's just not quite going to make it in time. Watch the 20 left of your screen. Going to come into picture here. Right there, spinning backwards and just clips him in the back. And it gets that tire and just kind of makes that car ramp up in the air. And then as it gets over here, Beverly goes for a tumble. And it's not done once. It's going to take a second one here for us. Beverly eventually lands back on all four. The damage at that point, it's already been done. Let's watch the view here for Beverly. Man, he even started, sound like slowing down there at the end when he felt like maybe he wasn't going to make it through, but still just unfortunately didn't quite matter, as at that point he was already in it. And look at that thing go. Almost gets up into the catch fence. And then almost gets T-boned by Jay Stinson as well. He's able to save it. Jay Stinson, that is. Haas Beverly, certainly worse for wear. Even suspension damage on the left rear. That will be a fast repair, and it looks like he has used that. So Haas Beverly back out on the racetrack with a clean car, as are multiple others that were involved in that incident. And that means that we are getting ready to go back to green flag racing. See if the lights do indeed go off on the pace car this time. And yep, sure enough, they will. So with 28 laps complete here at Talladega, we've had 3 cautions so far. One of those, of course, was for the stage break. And then the early caution that we have now had here in the final stage. And then we, of course, had one for incident earlier in the first stage as well. Speaking of that incident, Lance Thompson, one of the drivers who was involved in that first incident, finds himself right now up in the 3rd position. So tip of the cap to Lance for doing a good job of getting back to the front here, even after some of the early issues that he may have had. For Kevin Winker at the front of the field, looks like Tower Operator in the chat says, "Let's go Winker Nation." And he'll be getting pushed here by Lance Thompson. We'll see if that outside can do anything against these guys. As the 23 of Charles Van Schaik, this is kind of one of the highest running positions he's been in here tonight. And the reason I say kind of is because he's been towards the front, but this is the highest up that he's been, at least to this point. 21 of Lance Thompson. This is also the highest running he's been all night. He's up 12 positions from where he started this race at. You see the 55 of Mark Beverly alongside Jesse Wise. He has also been slowly but surely working his way closer towards the front. And I should note, I mean, there's a lot of racing left to go in this race. We talked about at the start, 225 miles, and we haven't even clicked off half of them just yet. 85 laps, and we're just about 30 laps down here. 30 laps through the race, I should say. So, you know, we still have that green flag pit stop in play. I mean, it's going to be about 57, 58 laps to go here when they get the green flag. And so knowing that, you know you still have to make that pit stop for fuel, but as we get closer here, if we can get to, I'd say, right around lap 45 to lap 50, probably lap 50 to be conservative, and then we get another caution, then drivers should be good to go on fuel the rest of the way. But as for now, see if they're ready to mix it up some more, or if maybe they start to finally calm it down for a little bit now. Here we go, back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air at Talladega, and it's a good restart for the 42 of Kevin Winker. He'll get the better jump right here. And for Winker on the inside, he may have got the better jump, but he doesn't have more help. That's the outside lane that's got it. The 23 of Charles Van Schaik trying to push the 88 of Herbert clear before the help on the inside can get there. Can't quite do it, as now we'll see the 19 of Justin Parham. He's going to work to the high side, gets behind the 23 car. And I think that's a couple of drivers that saw Lance Thompson with some brief handling issues earlier when he was involved in that incident and didn't want to be behind the 21. And I thought that would get this outside clear based off when the 19 jumped up, but just doesn't look like it's going to happen, at least not right now. The 42 of Kevin Winker still leads him off into the corner and leads him through the middle portions of 3 and 4. And he'll move right back up to the top. And boy, Jonathan Herbert, he's going to have a big run here. What's he going to do with it? Can he size him up? Looks like he does, but Charles Van Schaik decides to split him out 3 wide. The 19 of Justin Parham, he'll go with him. Will they get any more takers? There's another Noma Motorsports teammate just a couple cars back there. And Matthew Fritz, does he jump up to try to help the 19 and the 23? It doesn't look like he has, or at least if he has, it's not yet. And now we're going to see a couple of drivers further back here. How about David Traylor? He's going to try to join up on this third lane, as is the 4 of Jesse Calloway. For Clinton Woodby, he may have saw something he didn't like here. You saw him quickly bailed out to the apron. He's going to jump in line. Just behind this lead pack. Wants to make sure that you, of course, stay in that lead pack, but it's okay to fall back. We still got plenty of racing and a green flag stop to go, so keep your stuff clean. You never know how much of it you're going to need at the end of this race. David Traylor, you saw him tuck back in line there to the high side after being 3 wide for a lap or 2. Mark Beverly now the lead pusher on the inside here. Going to try to see if he can get Lance Thompson a lap led. Not going to happen this time, though. Kevin Winker still on point, getting pushed by the 88 of Jonathan Herbert. And all this action up front, kind of the opposite out back. A little bit of single file here. Bill Hales in the 53 right now. He's just kind of chilling. Knows that there's really nowhere to go and no rush yet. Haas Beverly, who had to use his fast repair, also sitting towards the back right now. No hurry to get back to the front yet for him. The 24, Rick LePage. The 18 of Evan Schilling. We've got the 92 of Clinton Woodby. Dylan Paws and the 29 of Andrew Hansley. All back here rounding out this pack. We do have a couple that are off pace and slightly off of this lead pack. One of those, of course, being Michael Newman, who right now, as it stands, sits in the 22nd spot. Not a lap down, but he is about 7.5 seconds back from your leader. Jonathan Dominic still sitting in the pits at the moment after sustaining that damage, some of the earlier incidents. And then Keith Prince, Tyler Beverly, not sure what their issues are, but they have since retired from the race. So they are no longer fighting for the win here tonight. Again, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you hopping in. If you've been here, we appreciate you being here. You are watching the Muehlberger Custom Homes 225 here on PGR eSports. If you're interested in Muehlberger Custom Homes, I know we have, I don't know if I actually have the full link in the description. I know I have the logo sponsors, but I don't know if we have the description. But if you are interested, feel free to let me know in the chat. We can get you that link. And I know that Asphalt Outlaws Racing certainly appreciates all they are doing for the series this season, and of course appreciating them for hopping on board. And then the race here tonight being sponsored by Muehlberger Custom Homes, of course. All right, so it'll be 33 now of 85 laps complete. Lance Thompson, boy, all of a sudden he is looking really, really good as the 21 currently leads this inside line. You got the 55 of Mark Beverly just behind him. Meanwhile, up top's the 42 of Kevin Winker. Jonathan Herbert still on his back bumper, and they made some really big runs earlier, but we just have not seen much from this duo since then. Herbert not going to have to worry about doing the push for too much longer, I wouldn't think, here, if that lane continues to fade back, because somebody's going to jump up, but it doesn't happen yet. And for Herbert, I mean, you see him ducking out a little bit to the left and maybe a little bit to the right as well, just trying to get any air he can into the grill of that car to cool the engine down. And for Kevin Winker, he, of course, doesn't have to worry about it. He's got fresh temps, but then that, too, that's the other thing that really hinders their progress right there, is when you see a big run and you have to kind of check up, because you know if you try to push the guy, it's going to turn him sideways and potentially cause a big stack up, if not a big pile up. As the 42 of Winker, though, we've seen him win on super speedways before. I know it hasn't happened this season yet, but I can remember Kevin Winker back from some super speedway leagues when I used to race more, and of course I've seen him in the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Series. And I've seen him here tonight in the next season of this series, and he just seems to look pretty much as good as you can be week in and week out when you come to these super speedways. There's along with, I should say, quite a few other tracks. Of course, last week, I believe these drivers were indeed at Las Vegas. We'll talk more about the schedule in a little bit, at least going forward. Then the week before that, it was Rockingham. So yeah, it was Woodby and Trailer, the duo teammates that have gotten the wins the last couple weeks. And then there's also Trailer who got kind of this hot streak started at Road America. Boy, what a tricky track that was for the majority of the field. 35 of 85 laps now complete. Halfway point will be probably right around lap 42 to 43. And maybe a little bit longer than that. Either way, as they stay 2x2, we're going to take another quick break, but we'll go side by side. Stay with us at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing. Three by three. Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to the Muehlberger Custom Homes 225 for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Series here at Talladega Superspeedway. And as we welcome you back in, you of course saw it all over break. Nothing really super exciting happened. Still 2x2 for the most part, but it does look like the top maybe starting to prevail just a little bit now. And we are getting closer and closer to that halfway point in the race, which actually will be, I think I misspoke a little bit earlier, should be right around lap 47, 48. And so knowing that, if you're these drivers, I know it's still got a ways before we, of course, get to this point, but you got to start thinking about what that strategy is going to be. You know, I know we said one more pit stop, and really, I mean, that's going to be the money stop. You cannot afford to make a mistake on that final pit stop. And you have some strategy options, right? I mean, we'll talk about those here as they go around one of the lappers. Looks like that's going to be the 12 of Michael Newman. We got a couple drivers that are in really desperate need of a caution right now to get either laps back or just go get some more damage fixed. Michael Newman, of course, one of those drivers, and Keith Prince, Jonathan Dominics did not make it back out on track. Thought for a minute maybe Keith Prince did, but it appears he is not. But talking about some of those strategies, of course, you know, teammates are everything at these plate tracks, and so you figure if you're the Noma Motorsports crew, you've got at least 3 of your drivers up here. See Jay Stinson, Matthew Fritsch, Justin Parham. Kenneth Redinger, he can get up there if he chooses to. And so for them, they have the option to run a strategy of maybe pitting a little bit sooner than everybody else, just taking all 4 of their teammates, and if they get in clean and get off clean, I mean, that's pretty much all you can ask for. You're going to have 4 of the fastest drivers that you know around you pushing for all it's worth. So that's kind of the first strategy. The general strategy that I think we'll see most of the field kind of go with is pitting in these bigger groups where it's not necessarily just one team, especially for the guys who, of course, don't have a team. They're going to be trying to pit with other drivers. And then we might see some people that try to stay out as long as they can. And if, you know, you have just a couple of small groups that peel off early, that big group, they'll communicate with each other. And if they feel like they're running faster lap times, they're going to run it until they run out of fuel. And that way they can try to make as much lap time, as much distance on the groups that already pit. And that's what's interesting. I mean, up here in the booth, of course, we got the luxury of seeing those gaps and the overlays and how far everybody is from everybody else with different cameras and whatnot. But as a driver on track, you don't quite get as much of that luxury. You get a couple timing apps, but that's about it. So we'll see how everybody chooses to go about it. But still 2x2 up front. Kevin Winker leading that inside line. David Traylor up top. Then you've got the 4 of Jesse Calloway on the outside pushing. The 19 of Justin Parham doing the pushing on the inside. .42 of 85 laps complete as they rocket down the Alabama gang back straightaway here at Talladega. How about the turnout that we did have here tonight? I know I talked about a couple cars that had early issues that had to retire, and then a couple that have had to retire due to incidents. By incidents, I just mean damage from incidents, but I mean, still, you've got over 20 strong in this pack and in this field. And for Michael Newman, I was curious to see if he was able to hold on to the pack. I don't believe he was. Nope. So for Michael Newman, still in desperate need of a caution, but Dylan Paz, who's back in 20th position, and Andrew Hansley, who's back in the 21st position. These are the drivers that, you know, right now playing it safe. And of course, we know Dylan had to use one of his fast repairs. I'm not sure if Andrews had to. I don't believe he has, but 29 may have had to. They're just sitting in the back coasting right now. I mean, if you've already had to use that fast repair, that's really your only option. You want to get up here and dice it up with these guys as Charles Van Schaik. I don't know if he heard him a warning or what, but looks like he's had enough. He says, okay, you guys have fun. I'll drop to the back here. Gets in front of the 53 of Bill Hales. And I do like the idea of getting up front for a little while, or at different points, you know, just kind of keep yourself in the rhythm and kind of have an idea of what it feels like to get pushed and how it feels to do the pushing at the front of the field, because you know that at the end of the race, you're not going to have the luxury of just falling back and riding around. So get a little bit of practice in while things are more tame now. That way you're maybe a little bit more prepared for when things start to get chaotic later. David Traylor, though, I'm telling you, man, now that he's got himself at the front of the field, him and Kevin Winker, that is, this is going to be a really, really tough duo to get around. They're so good at controlling the field and controlling these lanes. And so for Kevin Winker, all he's worried about right now is just kind of sticking to the bottom. If he gets clear, he might consider jumping up. Now, I know him and David Traylor aren't direct teammates, but I mean, still, 2 of the best in the business at super speedway racing. Now, if David Traylor gets clear of the bottom, wouldn't be too surprised if that 54 car decides to jump down, let the 4 cool his temps just a little bit. As that is, of course, one of the big differences we see. If you've ever watched one of the broadcasts that I do for Money Racing, you'll see these guys at the front, they are constantly switching back and forth whenever they get a run and get clear, because they're trying to manage the lanes. And the best way to do that is keep both drivers from getting too hot, if you will. You could look at it the other way and say keeping each driver from getting too cool is, ooh, big wiggle right there from Jesse Calloway in the 4. Nice save. Give it that much, in fact. I want to pack that up just a little bit. Not sure if that was when he went to deliver a push, or if it was just when he tried to load the car into, oh, it's when he loads the car into the corner. That's exactly what it is. Watch the steering wheel snap right here. As he gets in the corner, drifts up, makes that big wheel and put back to the left. And man, got to be so careful. That was a really good catch right there from Jesse Calloway, preventing what could have certainly been a massive incident here with 45 laps complete. And you know, the hot track temp, wearing these tires out, that's just going to get worse because you figure when you go in for this final pit stop, of course, depending on when you do choose to go in, you may not be taking 4 tires. I think everybody will still probably be able to take 2, but you very well may not be taking 4 tires. And if you don't take 4, that means that either your right or left sides are going to be really, really worn out by the end of this race. And uneven tires tend to not handle as good as even ones. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, especially as the run goes on and handling continues to become more and more of an issue. Well, I know we talked about who the winners were the last few weeks. We still got to talk about what the schedule is looking like going forward. So as a matter of fact, let's save the schedule for a little bit later, but I do want to talk about what points are looking like after last week. And so as it currently stands, Charles Van Schaik leads the points battle. It's David Traylor in second, Matthew Fritz third in the points, Kenneth Redinger fourth. And then just trying to find out exactly, it's Colt Hardy, who's currently back in fifth, and he might be tied is what I was trying to figure out here with Clinton Woodby. Yeah, he sure enough is. In the back of the 7th spot right now is Joe Yakes. Mark Beverly 9th in points. And it's going to be Michael Newman, who currently rounds out your top 10 in point standings. Jay Stinson 11th. Kevin Winker 12th. Haas Beverly 13th. Evan Schilling 14th. And it looks like that is going to round out most of the drivers that have had a start in pretty much every race this season. Now, a couple of them that are still sitting further back than that. Just a lot of bad luck, but 47 of 85 laps complete. So we are now officially over halfway through this 225-mile event. Another big moment right there for David Traylor. He had a big wiggle off the front nose of Kevin Winker. That little bit of a burp in the momentum, look what that's going to do. That allows the 4 of Jesse Calloway to get clear. And we'll see if the 4 jumps down. This was his first opportunity to do so, and he does not take it. Now, I know Traylor, of course, hopped down, and so Jesse Calloway may still be cool in temps here up top. Nice and content, and I wonder if that's a little bit of why we saw Winker give Traylor a big shot. Was if it was a little bit of a late move, or if Winker just hasn't really had the opportunity to push. You saw the fire out of the pipes right there down the backstretch. That's just him letting off, trying to ease into the back bumper there of Traylor. Doesn't want to hit him too hard. He knows what happens. So just trying to give him a nice, smooth little shot to see if they can get tandem back up and maybe get this 54 back clear so that the 42 can jump up. Noma Motorsports, 2 of their drivers trapped. Looks like 3rd and 4th in the inside line. And Jay Stinson back and forth on the outside line. Still haven't seen a lot of single filing out just yet. Now, if you remember when we got back to green flag racing, it was close to about 30 laps complete or so. So the farthest they can go here on this tank is probably not quite to lap 70. I'm thinking more so if they're really stretching it between 63 to 67. Might be about the farthest that these cars can go, somewhere in there. And so that begs the question, of course, of when do you want to make that stop? The window is now officially open, I would think. Maybe a couple more laps to be safe for a green light checkered if we need one, but now that we've hit that 35 to go mark, I think that everybody should technically be in the window. And so if we were to get another caution at this point, it would not change anything, except for the fact that, of course, everybody would be good to go on fuel, which would change everything. Uh-oh, trouble further back here. Had one go off here. Oh, big hit, Haas Beverly. Oh, man. This might draw the caution as he slides back up on the racing surface. And 22 is going to halt it there. And he's going to let it sit. Let's see if he can draw that caution, but he's not going to be able to get it. And that thing is destroyed. For Haas Beverly, who was already in a rollover earlier, this is going to end his night. I mean, I feel bad that he can't even really get back rolling here. This thing's so damaged. And that means he clobbered, and I mean clobbered this inside wall. Well, let's see if he gets some help. I mean, it's got to be the assumption here with the spot that he got turned at. Dylan Paw is just, I don't know, I guess, is he trying to go under him there? I'm sure Haas is not very happy about that. And then, bam, look at that hit. Shoots that car right off, and then as he rolls back on the track up the banking, starts to roll back down, stops, and I'm not sure if the car just wouldn't fire or what the deal was. Let's see here. Yeah, he might have been trying to see if it would fire and go back forward, and it just wasn't. And, you know, you figure if you look at it the other way, and let's say he was trying to draw a caution, he wasn't doing anything blatant. It was more or less, a car's totaled. You kind of come to a stop like that for a minute after the first wreck, saying to yourself, what the heck just happened? Man, that is such a brutal hit for Haas Beverly, who was just kind of hanging out in the back. I mean, that's the spot where you feel like you're safe. You're not really supposed to be racing. Unfortunately, though, for Haas Beverly here, let's give you another look at this, and then I want to go a couple different angles for the 10 of Dylan Pause. There's the turn, and he just can't ever quite get it back, turn to the right to keep it off the wall, and that inside safer barrier, it comes up quick. So a very, very tough break there for Haas Beverly. Let's go to the onboard here for Dylan Pause. Again, I'm really not sure exactly what Dylan was doing here, unless he just gets loose, but it doesn't appear that way. There's Haas, and it's just not, I hate to have to bring this up because everybody in here's got plenty of talent, right? I mean, there's nothing against that, but it's just, this is where you kind of, it gets so frustrating as a driver because the common sense, you just feel like, where's it at, right? I mean, if you're back here, you assume that you're back here because you're trying to take it easy, right? So what are you doing making a move to the inside of a guy who's just kind of riding in line, maybe peeking out to make sure he can see everything? And now, I get it. Does Haas maybe start to come back down? Yes, but he's not expecting Dylan to make this move. He's, he's probably looking at his windshield. All of a sudden, he looks in his mirror and says, what the heck? That's a really, really tough break, though, but again, does not bring us under caution. Back up front we go. Still 2x2 for the lead, as it's the 54 David Traylor on the inside, the 42 of Kevin Waker on the outside. We've got the 19 of Parham here washing up a little bit, the 4 of Jesse Calloway. Now the lead pusher on that high side. Well, let's see if we can bring up Haas Beverly, who was just involved in that incident here, and see if we can get some insight on what his take was right there. Hey, Haas, this is Austin up in the booth. Got a copy.
Hey, man, what's up?
Well, I know that you're probably not too happy right now. We, of course, just saw on replay what happened, and, well, I say we saw what happened, but really, I'm still not sure what happened. I mean, what did it look like from your view?
Man, I have no idea. He said, you gave me the lane, and I'm like, I don't think my tires went outside of the lower lane. I was just cruising, waiting for that outside, the lap car to go by, and I was just cruising. I don't know what the hell he was doing.
And I mean, we're looking back on the replay, and one of the things that I was kind of thinking about here, and yes, you let me know, is I kind of figured all the guys that were sitting back there were the guys that were choosing to be back there to ride around. So did that one kind of catch you off by surprise?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he on the list.
All right, well, hey, I know it's not the way you wanted the night to end, Haas, but we appreciate you talking to us a little bit about it, and hopefully we'll see you out with a good run next week.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, I'm glad you're back, man. We missed you.
Certainly appreciate it. All right, there you go. Haas Beverly, and, well, he sounds just about as confused as I feel like I was there, and it sounds like it is pretty much what we thought, though, after looking back at a couple replays, and I like Dylan. He's a great guy, great driver, but you just can't do that. I mean, that's just one of those things where it's so frustrating. He said, and especially to hear, well, there's a lane down there. Well, yeah, sure, there's a lane down there. Why are you riding in the back if you're looking to try to make up positions? Get on the outside, go to the front. Either way, it's done now. So here we go. Back up to the front. Pit stops underway. It's going to be the Noma Motorsports Group and a couple of others. Looks like Dylan Pause and Clinton Woodby will follow them down as well. And so you got 4 Chevys and 2 Supras. And the Chevys that lead them in here will fan out into their pit stalls. Ooh, Dylan Pause, a mistake there. Gets into the wall, slides in the wall. That's going to give him a little damage, but more importantly, oh, look at all the time the 10's going to lose right here as he's trying to straighten it back out. Looks like he finally does. But, man, for Dylan Pause, this is going to lose him that lead pack. That lead draft, I should say. And now, turn our attention to the rest of the pack. Does anybody else decide to pit here? We're at about the 30 lap to go point, so you're plenty good to go on fuel, even for a green light checkered at this rate. But we've seen strategies where guys tend to stay out, but doesn't look like we're going to see that this time. Here they come. It's going to be Jesse Calloway who leads them in. And the Ford, is he getting clean? Yes, he does. How about everybody else further back? No lockups yet. And look at that. I mean, that is poetry in motion. They were 3 and 4 wide in the braking zone, and yet you really didn't see any lockups. You didn't see anybody get into each other. You saw a very, very clean round of pit stops here with just 30 laps to go. So now the big question is going to be, how do these two groups fan out, right? You got the group that's just now pitting versus the group that already pit. And we'll watch this here from the pit lane view. In fact, actually, I take that back. We'll go little bit further to the... See if we can get back to the starter cam. Here we go. Now watch for that lead pack here. We'll pull up on the track map too. You see as it stands right now, they're just now working into the tri-oval. And there you can see them on screen as they're going to be crossing the line right now. So just as they cross the line, the leaders here, David Traylor, getting ready to work off of turn 2, but he's still getting up to speed. That's the big thing you got to remember here. So for the Noma Motorsports drivers, Clinton Woodby, looks like they will all be able to catch back up, and they should actually be able to get all the way past David Traylor and a few others here, assuming that they don't have any major issues, as they're going probably still about 20 miles an hour or so faster. Now we're going to see David Traylor. He'll pull to the high side. Here comes a couple of his teammates. At least one of them, it looks like. Yeah, the 97 of Colton Hardy, but then Kevin Winker not on a team. Mark Beverly will skate by on the outside, pushing Jonathan Herbert. And here comes the Noma Motorsports group with Clinton Woodby. Will we see a block up to that third lane? No, we will not. And I mean, I think that's a fair idea because that's such a big run. I don't know if you can even block that. As you see the 92 of Woodby, he'll get clear of Traylor. He's going to try to carry this run all the way to the front to see if he can get in front of Jonathan Herbert here. Nothing doing yet. Oh, man, that was a big move out of line right there for the 19 of Parham. Are they going to bring the 27 of Fritz up as well? Fritz a little indecisive here on what he wants to do. Now the 27 is going to jump to the top. 19 switches back to the bottom. The Noma Motorsports teammates, little unorganized here. This is out of characteristic. I wonder if they're just trying to switch up the order or what is going on here. But now Matthew Fritz, he's all alone on the outside. He's going to fade here. We'll see if the 20 of Redinger is able to catch his teammate here, or if Fritz has to go all the way to the back. And it looks like, sure enough, they're going to organize it so that Fritz can drop down. And Redinger is going to go ahead and go all the way to the bottom. Now Redinger, I believe, is going to jump back up to the top. No, doesn't take it yet. Now it's Woodby who's going to get split out of line. He goes up to the third lane as Mark Beverly now leads the point on the top. 59 of 85 laps complete. Next time we're going to be coming to 26 laps to go. And again, pit stops are complete. No more at this point. Unless, of course, we have a caution and you decide to come in to top off on fuel or take some tires. Oh, man, you saw the 88 of Herbert getting a little bit squirrely right there. Out of shape on the inside. The 55 of Mark Beverly leading on the high side. For the 19 of Parham and the 2 of Jay Stinson. Stinson still looking for a first win on the season. And that 2 machine, he's already seen 2 of his teammates, actually make it 3 of his teammates get the job done. Him and Fritz, the 2 Noma Motorsports drivers, still looking to find victory lane, but still plenty of time. As, of course, with the long season schedule here for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing, you got plenty of time to make something happen, even if you start the season off a little bit slow. All right, so we have now hit the 26 lap to go mark. As they make it around one more time here, when they hit 25 to go, we'll take what is hopefully our final commercial break, and when we come back, of course, we're going to mention what the schedule's looking like going forward, but the action has not picked up too much just yet. Still 2x2. We saw a little bit of 3 wide, but it wasn't guys trying to go to the front. It was more so drivers getting hung out, going towards the back. And so, you know, when you hit, I'd say probably 10, 15 laps to go, I think that's when it's really kind of go time for everybody, and you got to start really trying to climb your way to the front. We still have a pretty big lead pack up here, not quite as big as it was earlier. Looks like it goes back right now to about 17 cars, and got to give a tip of the hat here to Dylan Paws, who, even after having all those issues there getting into his box, was still able to find a way to get out quick enough to stay with this lead pack. So a nice fight right there from Dylan Paws to keep himself in the mix. Rick LePage back here as well in the 24 machine. Always love that paint scheme that Rick's got on there. The number 24 Toyota Supra. As the 55 of Mark Beverly still up top, still getting pushed by the 19 of Parham. And I like being on that top right now, but seeing which 2 drivers are behind me there, knowing that they are 2 teammates and not my teammates, if I'm Beverly here, I think by the end of the race, I'm trying to get back to that inside line. I think it's the safer bet, and I think it's also the bet where you don't have to worry about getting split. We'll have to see what Mark Beverly decides to do here as the laps continue to wind down. So now it is going to be officially 24 laps to go here at Talladega. So we are going to take another break, but we'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. We'll be back in the Muehlberger Custom Homes 225.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost full trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to the Muehlberger Custom Homes 225 at Talladega Superspeedway. Well, you saw it all on nonstop. Caution back out for a wreck involving a few cars, including Jonathan Herbert and Kevin Winker. Saw Herbert take a pretty big shot there. It was in the short chute from turn 4 to the tri-oval. Let's go back and show you exactly what happens here. Herbert's leading the outside. You see Kevin Winker on the inside. And I mean, you could get a pretty good idea just from looking at that angle how it's going to happen. Watch the push right here that Mark Beverly is going to deliver to this 88. Gets him in the left rear, and that immediately sends Herbert down the track, collects Winker. Then he's going to get tagged here as a big hit for the 27 of Fritz. Nothing he could do. And, of course, for Kevin Winker at 42 car, big question that I didn't get to see yet was how big of a shot did he take on the inside wall? Is that car worse for wear? And it doesn't look all that bad, all things considered. At least not on the side we can see. Ooh, take that back. He hit it pretty hard on the left front. All right, so here you go. Let's show you this from the chopper view, show you how this happened again, and then, of course, some of the impacts after. So watch Beverly. He's got to run, and at this point, Herbert is running a little bit high, but it is still, of course, Mark's job to make sure he tries to get him set, and I wonder if Mark was going to try to split the middle there, and then right as he goes to go, Herbert closes it, or if it's just a little bit of a, you know, kind of a miscommunication, the unspoken miscommunication of an offset push here. But once Beverly gets him in the left rear right there, yeah, I mean, there's just nothing Herbert can do. And it's as they're coming off the corner where the car unloads, which just makes it all that much worse for Herbert being able to try to save it, that is. And then for Winker right there, that's a pretty good hit on the left front. Ooh, then gets tagged again in the right front there by the 18 of Evan Schilling. Really had nowhere to go. For Matthew Fritz, we talked about this being a pretty big hit for him. It's going to be a fast repair-worthy one. So watch it from his cockpit view here. Come off of 4 and start to spin. I mean, that was the definition of not just deer in the headlights, but really nowhere to go. I mean, when they got spun around, more so when Jonathan Herbert got spun around in front of him, there was nothing he could do except just hope that he could somehow miss it. And so there was the zoomed-in view. Show you this again here from TV2 is here's the big hit for Herbert that sends that car up in the air. Lucky that this only collected the 3, kind of 4, if you will, cars that it did. It certainly could have been a whole lot worse. Like it might have been at first. watch the close call here after Evan Schilling runs into him. It's the 10 of Dylan Paws that I think just misses Kevin Winker. So nicely done there on Dylan's part. And I do want to give you one more angle of this here from the blimp cam. Big hit. Well, you know what that means. The start of what could potentially be a string of late cautions, because it is now going to be inside 20 laps to go here for this restart. 20 laps to go. Everybody's good to go on fuel. And that means that it is go time, no matter where you are in this pack. If you weren't with the pack, well, now you got a second chance. You've been grouped back up. So this is going to get really, really chaotic here. These guys still might crank out a few semi-tame laps, if you will, maybe till we get to about 15, 10 to go. But, I mean, at some point, it's going to get to where they're going 2 and 3 wide. And there's just really nowhere to go. That's why I think you got to try to make up the positions early here. See who decides to go with that strategy and who decides to do kind of the classic wait till the last lap to make your move. But up front, it is Justin Parham leading, Colton Hardy in second, Jay Stinson back in third, David Traylor fourth, and Jesse Calloway currently rounding out your top 5. For Colton Hardy, what a position this is to be in. He's got his teammate David Traylor behind him, and he knows that Traylor is not going to be going anywhere anytime soon now. If the 97 can get clear to the bottom, it'd be an interesting take. Do you stay up where you know you're getting pushed by somebody you can trust, or do you make that dive to the bottom so that you can maybe have you and your teammate try to control this field a little bit better? That'll be the big question, I think. But again, still no more pit stops from this point. If you're coming in, it's to either fix damage, top off on fuel for some overtimes, something of that nature. But you won't see it under green, because with just 20 laps to go, fuel gauges are no longer a concern. All right, here we go. Working back into the tribal as the field will tighten back up in the 2x2 formation. Here we go. Time for some late race drama here at Talladega as the green flag is back in the air, and it's a good jump for the 97 of Colton Hardy. Not sure if he was trying to get enough of a jump to get clear of the bottom, but it's not quite going to happen, at least not yet. These two would really like to put a stop to the Noma Motorsports domination at Superspeedway so far this season. David Traylor, he's been on the hot streak as of recent. He's got the throwback J.C. Newman scheme, the good wrench throwback, if you will. You see Lance Thompson a little wiggly there down the backstretch, even further back. I believe that was Andrew Hansley who decided to jump out of line. Yeah, the 29 must have not liked something he saw, because he's going to go all the way to the back here, all the way behind Michael Newman and Matthew Fritz. Better be careful that he doesn't accidentally lose the draft here and get himself in a position where he may not be able to get back up towards the front. And so as they're now back up to just about full pace, it's the inside with the advantage. Justin Parham getting pushed by Jay Stinson. And on the outside, only a 2-car tandem at the moment. Colton Hardy getting pushed by his teammates, David Traylor. Colton Hardy still looking. I mean, when we talk about what this guy did towards the end of last season, where he really started to get it figured out, Colton Hardy that is, it took him a while. But it almost seemed like one of those things where you either flip a switch or something just clicks. And whatever it was, I mean, it's been working out well. Colton Hardy has looked so much better this season, just the improvement over the course of that 1 year. And that first win, it's been knocking on the doorstep a few times. Maybe tonight's that night. Still, he's got a lot of work he's got to do here. 18 laps at a track that's over 2.5 miles in length is a long way to go. But at the same time, when you're going all but 190 miles an hour, it's pretty tricky to focus each and every one of these laps. Here goes the 42 of Kevin Winker. He's going to jump up to the top. Watch for this third lane to start to slowly but surely develop. Looks like Mark Beverly and the 12 of Michael Newman are going to join him up there. If you're Kevin Winker, I mean, the thought process here is get that run going and get up there as soon as you can. I think Beverly likes that idea. The 23 of Charles Van Schaik has an opportunity here to go with these two if he wants, but nothing doing yet. And it looks like now, sure enough, there goes the 23. He'll jump to the top. Does Winker stick with him, or does he split him? Looks like he'll stay up top. Will Calloway cover? Yes, he does. Now Winker feels like it's getting a little bit too crowded. The 42 will jump back to the inside. He's going to pull Mark Beverly along with him. For Kevin Winker, still looking for his first win of the season. Him and Mark Beverly, of course, are teammates. I say they are teammates. I believe they both are. Do a quick double check. Yep, sure enough, this season they are indeed teammates. That's why you saw those two working together here. But Kevin Winker, What a move that was, right? I mean, he leads his teammate back to the middle so they get clear of some of the cars that had jumped in front of him. Now they go back to the top. They've got some support from out back. We'll see how far they can take this run. Can they ride it all the way to the front? 3 wide now. On the bottom, it's still Justin Prom leading. Stinson doing all the pushing. Hardy and Trailer in the middle. And Winker and Beverly up top. This is that point in the race where drivers are really getting antsy. 16 laps to go. Starting to turn up that dial a little bit more now. And if we start to get some cautions here, that makes it really tough to pick up track position as, you know, you run 4 or 5 laps under caution each time you get one. And we get one at this point, we may only have a restart with less than 10 to go. So I think that's why we're seeing Winker try to get aggressive here to get this third lane going. And Beverly's pushing. I mean, Beverly's pushing for all it's worth. But it's just not quite enough yet. Kevin Winker holding a very pretty wheel now. And he'll draw even with Colton Hardy. Another thing we'll see these guys start to take advantage of as the laps wind down is that side draft and how aggressive they are with it right now. Still giving each other a good amount of room. But if this is late, Kevin Winker, I'd watch for him to really try to pin it on the door of Colton Hardy. He's not going to have to worry about it because he gets clear, and right as he gets clear, looks like DeFord Callaway is also going to jump in further back, and that is going to kill the momentum on this third lane. Mark Beverly, though, what a job he does to get his teammate to the point. Kind of that sacrifice you got to make. Now Winker gets loose. Colton Hardy, does he look to jump up top? Yes, he does. The 97 wanting to go 3 wide, but there's no momentum, so he'll have to duck back in line. 14 laps to go now. Noma Motorsports still has their 2 teammates lined up, 1-2 on the bottom. Kevin Winker leads 2 teammates from a different team up top. And then you've got the 4 of Jesse Callaway back there in the mix. How about Bill Hales in the 53? Seems like anytime we get to the end of one of these races, we're calling his name at some point. And I know Bill and Kevin like to work together if both of those 2 can get to the front. We saw Bill Hales win it before at a Superspeedway. We'll see if he can find a way back to victory lane at a Superspeedway here tonight. Jesse Callaway in the 8th spot. Charles Van Schaik in the 23. Back in the 9th position. Then it's Jesse Wise rounding out your top 10. But for Justin Parham right now, I mean, he hasn't even thought about moving to the high side, and I can't blame him. I mean, we've seen all the pushing and shoving going on in the middle and the third. That's been where it's looked sketchy. The inside's been the only lane that's looked really tame and calm in terms of they've still been able to keep, you know, the momentum and keep, obviously, the 19 up front. But they haven't had any pushes where it's really got the 19 out of shape or, you know, almost turned him sideways. So that's, of course, thanks to Jay Stinson, who's doing all that pushing right now. But I think if you're Justin Parham here, just as I say it, he gives him a push that gets him a little bit offset. But I was going to say, I think if you're Justin Parham here, as long as Stinson has temps to keep pushing you, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep that car on the bottom right now and see if that third lane can get going. Maybe slow down this middle a little bit. Mark Beverly still up top. Further back with the 77 of Michael Miller. Michael Newman's there as well, as is the 20 of Redinger. And as a couple of those cars here are going to look to the top, we'll see if anybody else jumps out. Charles Van Schaik thought about it, and now he will go. 12 laps to go here at Talladega. 225 miles, and we are getting closer and closer to the end of it. And if you're Charles Van Schaik, boy, so close at a few tracks this season, but I mean, man, things just have not quite worked out for him yet. You think back to Kansas and what could have been. Fortunately for Van Schaik, just hasn't quite happened yet. He's had opportunities at a few other tracks, still nothing doing. And I said Kansas. I apologize. I meant to say Chicagoland, as he, of course, lost that duel to Kenneth Redinger, a track that runs very similar to Kansas, though. Look at this third lane. I mean, they continue to get more and more organized, but yet still have not seen the payoff just yet. Now, Beverly, it's going to take him a lap to get comfortable here, pushing that 23 of Charles Van Schaik, and I think once he gets it figured out here, they're going to really start moving to the front. How about Kevin Winker getting clear to drop to the bottom? That puts Colton Hardy back to the point in the middle, and that will start to slowly try to bury the 2 Noma Motorsports teammates of Jay Stinson and Justin Parham. Well, we predicted it pretty much as we expected. When we were coming to the 10 lap to go point, we figured they'd be 3 wide, bumper to bumper. That's exactly what you're getting. Charles Van Schaik up top. Is the 23 going to get clear? Yes, he is. New leader at Talladega, and it's the first time to the lead tonight for Charles Van Schaik, but oh, he doesn't take it. Man, Charles got clear, but he did not take it. Oh, now we got one in the wall further back. That's Jonathan Herbert, who makes heavy contact with the outside safer barrier here. Tries to check up to catch it. Looks like Michael Newman's going to cut him a break and try to help him out here. But that was interesting looking contact here. Does he get together with somebody? Maybe Lance Thompson? Let's see, let's go to the cockpit view here. Watch Lance on his inside here. Oh, that might have been, like from that angle, Herbert creeping down maybe just a little bit. Lance creeping up, and some slight contact there right around the right rear region. For Thompson, sends them both up, sends the 88 into the wall. Obviously very lucky that that was not worse than it was. So as they now rocket through 3 and 4, top 3 have not changed. Kevin Winker leads the inside, Colton Hardy leads the middle, Van Schaik leads the top. And right now it's actually the middle that's got the least help, only 3 cars. The top's got 4, the bottom's got even more than that. But it's the middle that's really rolling the best here. Trailer and Hardy, the chemistry is paying off. At what point here, if you're Colton Hardy, do you think about maybe jumping to the bottom to give your teammate a shot at it? Or do you think they're in communication and Trailer saying, stay up the rest of the way. As long as I got temps, I will push you all the way to that checkered flag. Single digits in terms of laps to go now here. And remember, though, I know it's a long ways away still, but we have to get to the white flag before this race would be deemed official. So we still have to complete, well, it'll be 7 laps when they cross the line this time before we've even got ourselves basically a race to the finish. If we get a caution at any point, though, now, that would put us into kind of that territory of potentially either a late race restart or potentially our first overtime attempt. And they are still 3 wide. Cars looking really as stable as they have all night, despite the fact that these guys are on more worn tires, and we are still at 100-degree track temp. By the way, we mentioned the speeds earlier, what they were. We'll take a look at them now. Charles Van Schaik, almost over 190 miles an hour there down the short chute towards turn number 1. That's thanks to all the pushing that he's getting right now from the 55 of Mark Beverly. Beverly in that Busch throwback paint scheme. Oh, there they go. They're going to wreck on the backstretch. Beverly got ran into, turned into the wall, and now multiple others. It was somebody that got hooked initially. I couldn't tell if it was Callaway or somebody else who was the first car to get turned around. That was the start of it. And the real question is, how many did it collect? Doesn't look as bad as it initially did here, but we do have cars with damage. Most notably, going to be that 4 of Jesse Callaway for now, who we saw spin towards the inside wall. He's got pretty good rear end damage. Let's go back and look at this one here, how it starts. You knew it was kind of bound to happen sooner or later, and it finally does here. Watch as they come off of turn 2. Ooh, yikes. The 21, Lance Thompson, was he pushing in the corner? Yeah, that's a big no-no, especially this far back in that lead pack. I mean, you're 4th in line. Pushing the 77 here doesn't really do much, especially thinking about trying to push him in the corner. It's just not a good mix. And Lance, you know, he has experience. I'm really not sure what he was doing right here. Watch it slow. And he's going to get to the back bumper of the 77 and he's going to give him a little shot, but it's in the left rear. And if you're not perfectly square, right there, just slightly offset left, and that bump's going to send him down into the 4 of Jesse Callaway, and then it's on from there. Beverly gets wedged into the wall. 77 gets turned down as there's the contact for Lance Thompson. You see the 77 straighten it out. Bill Hales does 360, and somehow he straightens it out as well. It was a wild ride, but really a good save for Bill Hales. Watch this. From the onboard view for the 53. Ducks to the inside, still gets turned around. Lets it spin back around. And works on starting to straighten it out. Boy, he is lucky that he did not get his front end ripped off by a couple of cars who shot just by him. So nice job there for Bill Hales, but then for Callaway here, never saw it coming. Once he gets turned, wrecks on from there, and look at them all scatter. Trying to miss it. Callaway lets it roll. Comes to a halt. And boy, tell you what, that was a really nice job by a lot of drivers to miss that and not make it worse than it could have been. Does look like Michael Miller tagged that inside wall. That's going to give him some more damage. That's right here. I think he's okay. And he takes some contact there, but locks it down, but then, yeah, just shouldn't have let it roll right there. I think if he keeps it locked down, he misses the inside wall. Instead, though, takes a big shot off of it instead. Give you a couple more angles of this here before we go back live and set up for what's going to be a late race restart here at Talladega. There's the contact, and I think this one is really only going to be potentially a night ender for the 77 of Miller. As you saw Jesse Wise spinning around there, he got tagged. You can see that in the initial view. Give you one more look at it here before we do indeed go back live. This is from TV2. And watch Jesse Wise here sneaking through. And then, Thompson gets into him there and just sends that 69 car around. Jesse, kind of a similar situation with Bill Hills, where does a couple of 360s, holds on to it. So he ends up ultimately okay. All right, so 6 laps to go. Lights are still on the pace car. It's Kevin Winker up front. Colton Hardy in second with Justin Parham in third. Charles Van Schaik fourth and David Traylor rounding out your top 5. I would assume the lights will go off this time, which means we should be going back green with about 4 laps to go. And boy, 2 laps plus a natural green-white checkered is going to be a fun one. Well, I know we were initially going to be done with commercial breaks earlier, but since we had the extra caution, I'm going to go get a drink. And everybody else, make sure you go get yourself one here because you are going to need it for how crazy this finish is getting ready to be. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by 3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to the Muehlberger Custom Homes 225 for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Series. And man, this is what we've been waiting for all night. Late race restart, a win on the line at a track that kind of puts you in the history books if you can win here. I mean, Talladega Superspeedway and Daytona Superspeedway, 2 of the hardest tracks to win at. The draft being the great equalizer. Kevin Winker, one of the best in the business. Can he find his way back to victory lane at a Superspeedway? Colton Hardy looking for his first win of the season. Can he find victory lane at a Superspeedway? We're getting ready to find out. Here we go. 4 laps to go at Talladega. And it's a good restart for the 42 of Kevin Winker. Colton Hardy not quite able to stay even with him into turn 1, but there's a little bit of help coming from out back. What will Kevin Winker do? Does he jump up here, try to control the outside, or does he stick low the rest of the way? Working onto the backstretch. This is where if that outside could get lined up, they could really, really roll. There's the run. Big shot to the back of Colton Hardy. He's going to hold on, and now look at the outside surge. Colton Hardy trying to go to the point before they get to turn 3, but it's not quite going to happen. And for Charles Van Schaik, who sits second in the outside, you wonder how much pushing has he had the opportunity to do here tonight. Either way, he better hope it's the right amount because it is getting ready to be pushed for all it's worth. And remember, out back, trouble. We got one trying to save it. Is he going to? He holds on. Now we got another one through the grass. Is that the 3 of Keith Prince? I think it might have been the 21 of Lance Thompson's in it. Yep, that's the 3 of Keith Prince. Multiple cars slow here. They will not throw the caution yet. We stay green for the moment now. So back up front we go, where they're still 2 by 2 fighting hard for the lead. Colton Hardy on the outside. Look for another big run here from Charles Van Schaik. And remember, next time we're coming to 2 to go, so you got to start to make those decisions now if you're one of these lead pushers. You are either pushing to get that guy clear to make a move yourself, or you are pushing, trying to conserve temps, knowing that you are going to try to push that guy to a win on the last lap. For Van Schaik, if he decides to make that 3-wide move, you wonder, does Stinson, Clinton Woodby, any of those drivers decide to go with him, or do they stick to the middle with Colton Hardy? And oh boy, Hardy's going to start to fade now. This might open the door for Justin Parham. Not quite. The 19 isn't quite able to get there. And it is now 2 laps to go at Talladega. Last lap for a caution if we're going to get one. I say that as the lead pack is now down to just about 10 cars, all the way back to the 18 of Evan Schilling and the 20 of Kenneth Redinger. Here comes the 53 of Bill Hales. Jonathan Herbert there as well, but he's going to jump up in front of the 4 of Callaway. Now he's going to look 3 wide. Watch for the 53 of Bill Hales to try to get this 3rd lane work in and get all the way to the front. They start to stack up on the outside now as they work into 3. Clinton Woodby stuck in the middle. Van Schaik looks up. He's going to get turned down into the pack. He goes. Big, vicious wreck. 1 up and over. Clinton Woodby upside down as the 92 tumbles and rolls down the banking off of turn 4. And we will be headed into overtime as Clinton Woodby is destroyed. And he's going to have to pay the tow bill on that one. What a wreck. With 3 laps to go. Actually, it was 2 laps to go, coming to 1 to go. But we just didn't quite make it. All right, well, let's look at it here. It's going to be a bit of a move from Charles Van Schaik. And at this point in the race, a lot of guys kind of switch that mindset of, I'm not lifting. If you make that move, you better be able to take a push. And you see Stinson goes up. Stinson's basically there. I mean, yeah, if you're Van Schaik and you make the move that late, you got to expect a little bit of a push. And, I mean, credit Jay. Jay barely taps him here. I mean, it's a very slight push. The problem is, with this new package, this is what you expect. So that's one of those ones where, I don't put blame on either driver particularly. For Stinson, I can't really blame him for not lifting at this point. I mean, he's going for it. He's got to run. Van Schaik makes that move kind of late. And I can't blame Van Schaik either. He wants to win. Feels like that 3rd lane's his best shot, so he tries to block it up top. Fortunately, it doesn't work out for either driver. And instead, it leads to a massive, massive wreck. Talked about this hit for Clinton Woodby, and well, watch this again here for the 92 who was in the middle. 23 gets down into him, and then Woodby is going to get shot back up the track here by David Traylor. Gets turned, wedged, and look at that thing go up in the air, rides along the safer barrier into the catch fence. Does a few more tumbles. This thing still hasn't even hit the ground yet. Finally does. And now as he works down the bank, and look at that right front tire, just gets ripped off the race car. Watch it go flying there as it starts to bounce around. Does reattach itself, but the damage is done. And when you get stuck upside down like that, you can't even drive back to the pits, much less, of course, worry about getting it repaired. So for Clinton Woodby, it's a big hit. Bill Hales, David Traylor also taking massive damage in this one as well. Gotta hope they have fast spares, because if not at this point, then that would, of course, end their chances here for the night. So this is going to now set us up for what will be our first attempt at overtime. So give you just a few more angles of that massive hit there for Clinton Woodby. Let's see if we can get this from the turn 3 and 4 view. And sure enough, we can. And Woodby all but took out our camera right there. You see somebody's hood bouncing through the grass in the infield. All right, so as we go back live, time to set ourselves up now for what will be our first attempt again at overtime. Kevin Winker being scored as your leader. Justin Parham in second with Colton Hardy third. Dylan Pauls in fourth, and Matthew Fritz rounding out your top 5. By the way, dude, before we do get back to Green Flag Racing, let's head over here and check out what some of the schedule's looking like ahead for the series. So this week we were at Talladega, and in fact, if we take the SDK overlay away, you see that next week we head to the Cornfields, Iowa Speedway, and then it's off to Charlotte Motor Speedway, followed by Worldwide Technology, the Milwaukee Mile on November 22nd, and then we do have Thanksgiving off at the end of November, so we won't have a race that Friday. Atlanta Motor Speedway, Legacy at least, 2008 version, will kick off December, then it's off to Michigan International Speedway, Texas after that. No racing for the Christmas break. And then to Pocono to kick off New Year's, followed by Bristol and then Talladega Superspeedway again just before we get into the playoffs. Kansas Auto Club and Darlington make up the round of 16. Then it's Kentucky, Daytona, North Wilkesboro in the round of 10. And, of course, the Championship 5, which looks like will be at Homestead Miami Speedway. And that is going to be a good one. Well, you notice all the lap variations in this series this season. I mean, we got some races that I feel like are maybe a little bit overkill in terms of length. And then we have some races that kind of feel a little bit short. So it's a really interesting setup with the way it's been. But, I say that up here as a broadcaster, but I know a lot of the drivers love the format. And it certainly has provided for some more strategy racing from what we've seen so far this season. I mean, you look at an example, though, you figure Talladega Superspeedway, 85 laps, not too bad. Iowa 177, not too bad. And you look a little bit further, you look at a track like Michigan, 125 laps at that track. That obviously equates to 250 miles, but at a track like Michigan, that's a lot of laps. So for these drivers, they're going to have to get the endurance ready for that one. I mean, that is a brutal, brutal track to have to get in a rhythm that long for, especially with how slipping and sliding it is. It is a fun one. It's going to be a fun one to watch, too, up here in the booth, so make sure you tune in for that. As, by the way, next place we head here on PGR eSports tomorrow night to the NOMA Truck Series as they are in their early stages of the playoffs for this season. Fight for a championship will continue. That will be broadcasted right here, again, with me on PGR eSports, so hopefully see a lot of the same people we see tonight back out on track and back watching as well. All right, so lights are officially off. That means it is go time. Remind you the overtime rules, pretty much similar to what we would expect for a regulation finish, which is we've got to make it to that white flag for this race to be official. If not, we'll rack them up and try it again. But once that white flag's out, all bets are off. They could wreck the entire field. And it's going to be who can get the car started back to the finish first. And hopefully we can keep this clean and see one of those historic finishes that you see so much here at these big 2+ mile super speedways. 2.5, I should say. But here we go. Pace car makes his final turn down to the pits. Has field back in the hands of Kevin Winker and Justin Parham. Green flag back in the air. Overtime here at Talladega. Who's going to get back to the checkered flag first? It's a good restart for both cars on the front row. But it looks like it's going to be Dylan Paz who gives a little bit better help to the back of the 19 as they work off into turn number 1. Dylan Paz, it's been kind of a roller coaster night for the 10 car, but he's in position now. You got to wonder, will that 10 consider making a move at some point, or does he stick to trying to push Justin Parham all the way back to the finish? Colton Hardy right now trapped behind Kevin Winker, but he's going to give him a big shove down the back straightaway. Further back, they're already trying to get this third lane organized and going. Up top, that's Rick LePage in the 24, getting pushed by the 23 of Charles Van Schaik. Still 3x3 further back. Up front, they're 2x2, but I'm telling you, this third lane, it's going to get there. Watch for a couple more drivers to try to jump up in that third lane as it continues to make its train to the front. Kevin Winker and the 19 of Parham. One driver already with a win on the season. One looking to get back to victory lane at the track he is best at. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go at Talladega. Parham got split. Dylan Paz went to his outside. Further back, they are all over the place. Matthew Fritz on the inside almost wrecks, trying to save it, but it's still all Kevin Winker out in front. Ooh, Winker's trying to block the 97. When will Colton Hardy make this move? The 97, watch his eyes light up as now he's going to jump to the middle. He'll take it a lane higher as he tries to go to the top. Dylan Paz with a big push. It's going to get the 97 out of shape. Hardy holds on there. 4 wide now for the lead up front. Kevin Winker still leads the way, but can he hold on all the way back to the checkered? 4 wide now, dips back down to 2. Winker's going to get split, leaves the bottom open. Here comes Matthew Fritz. Up top, it's Colton Hardy. One more push. Can he get one more block? No, he can't. Now he's going to do his door. Parham gets back into him. They spin out back. Colton Hardy, first win of the season, and he gets it at Talladega. You see the excitement. You wondered if tonight would be the night. And sure enough, it was. How about that one for Colton Hardy? Man, what a finish. He will be celebrating this one for a while. Boy, we're going to have to go back and take a look at that one. That was about as... I cannot believe that they all held on to it there through 3 and 4 when they got 4 wide. That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen broadcasting super speedway racing, but phenomenal job that they did as Mark Beverly, by the way, finishing on the podium in second, and Jonathan Herbert finishes in that 3rd position. So as Colton Hardy will bring it around to the travel here to kick off the celebrations. We'll, of course, get to hear from your winner along with your other 2 podium finishers here in just a little while. Colton Hardy, there you go. He's going to burn it down right across the start-finish line. As he does so, we'll take a look at your finishing results here tonight. Race winner, again, is Colton Hardy. First win of the season. The driver for White Knuckle Racing. Mark Beverly brings home 2nd. Good run for him. And it's Jonathan Herbert finishing back in 3rd. Charles Van Schaik in 4th. Evan Schilling in 5th. Matthew Fritz back in 6th with Rick LePage in 7th. And you've got Kevin Winker in 8th with Dylan Paws in 9th. And Andrew Hansley rounding out your top 10. David Traylor finishes back in 11th. It's going to be Michael Newman in 12th. Kenneth Redinger in 13th with Jay Stinson in 14th. Jesse Wise back in 15th. It's going to be Jesse Calloway in 16th. Clinton Woodby in 17th with Justin Parham back in 18th. And rounding out the top 20 tonight, it's going to be Lance Thompson and Bill Hales. Michael Miller finishes 21st. Haas Beverly in 22nd with Keith Prince in 23rd. Jonathan Dominic's 24th and Tyler Beverly in 25th. All right, before we get your top 3 in here for interviews, we got to go back and look at this finish. I mean, this was about as crazy as it gets here. And we'll go back to the checkered flag, but we got to rewind this even a little bit further because, I mean, the things these guys were pulling off here in 3 and 4 is just, you don't see this here. You just don't have stuff like this happen. And really, it starts down the back here. Colton Hardy blocking for all it's worth. And if this is the old car, I'm telling you right now, this isn't even an issue. The problem is with this new car, you make these big blocks, you get big shoves, and it tends to dart him sideways. Paws is going to line him up, gives him a big shot. That sends the 97 down. Great save by Hardy to not run into the 42. They keep it together, but now look at this. They are 4 wide working through turn 3. Paws is out of it. He fades back as he gets split. And now you knew it was going to be a battle between the 42 of Winker and the 97 of Hardy. At least that's what you thought. But then coming off a 4 here, 27 getting into the back of the 42. Gets him up just enough to duck to the inside. Now Winker's split in the middle. The inside's got no momentum, no push yet. Herbert's trying to get a run to get him back. And then out back, watch this. They start to wreck. They wreck big time. But then right here, you see Colton Hardy. He knows that Parham's going to be taking the shorter way around the racetrack, maybe even getting a little bit more help. So he drives down the track here. He's going to get a little physical here, trying to drive down. And once he gets into his door here, Parham gets down on the apron, starts to drive back up, tries to get back into the 97. And as he does so, goes around. You see Dylan Paws, he's going to spin in the background as well. And out back, they wreck, but in front, it's all checkered flags for Colton Hardy. And then there you see the finish for Mark Beverly and Jonathan Herbert, who snuck through the wreck. Bring home that 2nd and 3rd place finish. All right, we're going to go grab your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega. All right, going to start first tonight with your race winner, and it's the first win of the season for Colton Hardy. Colton, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy? Oh, man, break us down that finish. That was a wild one. We saw 3 wide, we saw a block, then we saw 4 wide. Next thing you know, you're bumping doors with Justin Parham. I mean, what in the world was... Just take us through that last lap.
Oh, man, it was crazy. So I'm rewinding it now to try to watch. I had the run on Winker, and I saw Dylan had a big run on the outside. So I figured if I was going to try to make a move to win it, that was going to be my shot. And whenever he hit me, it sent me sideways, and I almost wadded the field up. No idea how I kept my momentum there, but just really good pushes there from Parham to the end. And then it looks like things kind of fell apart there at the end for Winker. It was a really good race. Everybody was pretty cool when it came to 3 wide. We were able to make some good moves. It just got really aggressive there at the end. But other than that, we got our first win.
Yeah, first win. I mean, how exciting is this? It's been so long. Talked about how at the end of last season, you really started to kind of find that rhythm. And so far, it's been a good season. But, I mean, now that you kind of got that chip off your shoulder, do you feel like you can start to focus more towards the playoffs?
Absolutely. It feels good to get the first one. The nerves are kind of taken care of now. At the first one feelings, I'm experiencing it. So definitely won't feel this feeling again. But from here on out, we're just gonna same thing. We're just gonna try to dig and get better and better each week. I learned a lot from these guys running with these guys, and you learn a lot about etiquette and how to race other guys right.
All right. Well, hey, before we let you head out here tonight to go celebrate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, all my teammates, Loose Lugnuts, David Traylor, Jesse Wise, Jesse Calloway, Joe Yakes, he couldn't make it tonight. We have an awesome, great group of guys over there. We mend so well with each other. Our strategies work with each other. My sponsor, the Winning Bid, NASCAR Diecast Sales and Card Breaks. Check him out for sure for your best deals on card breaks and diecast sales, and everybody who watches. If it wasn't for the people who watched and the people who supported us and sponsored us, we'd never be able to do what we do.
Colton, thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the win, first of many, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Austin. I appreciate you, man.
All right, and now that will bring us up to your second place finisher here on the night, Mark Beverly. Mark, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, what's up?
Well, you bring home a second place finish here tonight. A lot of chaos on that last lap. What was going through your mind when you saw them start to wreck in front of you?
Well, I saw like the C starting to part away. I thought maybe I had a chance to win, but yeah, it was crazy. I just held my line there, and everyone just kept going all over the place. So I was like, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it works out in this case, but you know, in general tonight, of course, second stop at a super speedway this season, and we know that we're going to Talladega and Daytona one more time each. So how important is that in terms of trying to kind of get a good finish here tonight going forward to when we head to, I believe it's Talladega next towards the end of the regular season?
I really don't think it matters too much of these going forward. I mean, you kind of know who you can push and who you can't, I guess, but other than that, it's just going to be still kind of just a wild card. You know what I mean? You never know what you're going to get at these type of races. So hopefully everyone can just keep it straight and not lose their minds on the last lap, and maybe we can be able to finish it with everybody on the ground still. So
absolutely. Well, this week it was super speedway. Next week it's off to a more technical track, Iowa. How are you feeling about your chances there?
Oh, that's one of my favorite tracks. So hopefully we can get it done next week, or at least another good run, get some good points. But I'm going to look for the W if I can get it. So
sounds like a plan. Well, hey, Mark, before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to you putting on a good show for us. Shout out to all of our sponsors, Winning Bid, Muehlberger Custom Homes for the actual race sponsor this week, and QH Design for Colton Hardy winning the race there. So
there you go. Well, Mark, we appreciate you talking to us again. Congrats on the second place finish, and we will see you next week.
Copy that. We'll see you.
All right, now that's going to bring us up to your final podium finisher, third place finisher, Jonathan Herbert. Jonathan, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, you bring him a third place finish. I mean, it's no stranger to me that you're good at super speedways. I get to see you at these tracks all the time, but here tonight, I mean, you had a roller coaster of a night. You get involved in some wrecks. How did you make your way back to the front there by the end of the race?
Well, I think it's been a roller coaster of a season. It's not been the best so far for me. Made a lot of mistakes, but hung in there. Just I kind of, like I was telling them in the waiting room, coming off of turn 3, I really accepted just a top 10 finish, and chaos broke out, and I just held my line and drove through it.
Well, now that you get that podium finish, it starts to build a little bit of momentum. And how important is that momentum for you, knowing that your season so far has kind of been a roller coaster?
Well, it's getting some of those bonus points for leading some laps, and getting up there racing with the guys, getting some of that experience has been phenomenal. These guys are great. The guys that put on the league, Mark, everybody that we race with, these top contenders. So I'm learning a ton every race. But it, obviously the goal is to get in the playoffs. We're not going to lead the points, but we want to put the Ridge Power Sports Chevy in the playoffs.
Well, you took one good step towards that goal here tonight. So before we let you head out to go enjoy and celebrate a good finish, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, obviously family, my wife. She's over here supporting me. Ryan at Ridge Power Sports, everybody over at HCK, Mark and Haas and all the admin for putting on AOR. Kevin, obviously, he's a good buddy. And of course you for, getting back on here. Hope all's well back home with the hurricane mess and everything. But we appreciate you and it's glad to have you back, and just really grateful and thankful to be here, man.
Absolutely. And thank you for talking to us, Jonathan. Again, congrats on that third place finish. Hopefully we're talking to you again next week.
Yes, sir. Hopefully. We'll pray.
All right, there you go. Well, that is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from Talladega Superspeedway. What a great race this one was, and boy, a thriller all the way down to the finish. Colton Hardy grabs his first win of the season, and it may not be the only one. He is going to have some momentum going forward now. Also, that makes another week where a white knuckle racing driver has won. They are on a tear as of recent. We'll see who can bring them to a stop. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. We'll be back next week with more of the Asphalt Outlaws Racing series. Until next time, have a good night.